Well, running means many different sorts of things to many different people. To some, it's something they've got to do when they're late for work or when that bus starts to move off. For Geoffrey Boycott, it's something he's got to do when that ball isn't going to reach the boundary. For me, well, it's something I used to enjoy and used to be reasonably good at. Now I just do it to keep trim. What does it mean to someone like Sebastian, to a pretty physiotherapist from London who's run over 30 marathons, a young lady called Lesley Watson? What does it mean to a tripe dresser from Padiham near Burnley, a man who's now aged 67, but only this April finished his 25th Three Peaks run? Well, you're going to find out. Hello there. Last week Marilyn was getting sore in the saddle. This week I'm sharpening my spikes and looking at running. You've already seen the fastest mammal in the world, the cheetah. It travels over the ground at more than 60 miles an hour, and that's a mile in less than a minute. It needs that speed to survive. We don't. So why does the most important race, the human race, run? With me in the studio, we've got Lesley Watson, who a few years ago won the first British marathon race for ladies in Barnsley. Since then, Lesley's run more than 30 marathons and some even longer races too. A man who daily defies his old age pension, Stan Bradshaw. Since '54, he's missed only one of Yorkshire's famous fell race, the Three Peaks, and that's because he was helping to organise it. And we have the Olympic 1500-metre champion and the man who last year rewrote the middle distance record books, Sebastian. Well, quite definitely three expert and talented runners. But you know, everybody runs. Age is certainly no barrier. Granddads compete. In fact, veterans athletics is one of the fastest growing areas of the sport. Well, from the old men in snow to schoolgirls in the sunshine, it's no longer unladylike to pull on vest and shorts. And whether over the country on the track or through the towns, it's women making the greatest strides, improving most. The men still lead, of course, but that gap is closing. Well, running can provide all the delights of a country walk, just more of them. For the few professionals, men like Coniston's Fred Reeves, it means money as well as glory. But unlike most sports, it's not the pros who fill stadiums and grab the headlines. It's men like Scotland's Alan Wells, the Olympic 100 metres champion. In most other sports, a star like Wells would be a very rich man. A great competitor. But running isn't just about winning. It's what you do when you're late for work or school. Excuse me, lovey, have you ever done any running at all?
No.
Well, now's your chance. Come on, with me, up here. Little jog, come on. All right. See how you shape up. All we do, we'll just run up here a little bit. Tell me, what do you think of it? So
well,
far?
I get puffed out quick, I do.
Well, it's good for you, you know.
Is it?
Yeah,
I was going to take it up, but I'm too lazy.
Oh, run for a boss. I nearly broke my neck.
Run round the block.
What for?
Just to keep fit.
To keep fit?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it?
Well, yeah.
Are you any good?
Not really, no.
Do you ever run anywhere?
I don't think so, no.
You play football?
Yes, I do.
Well, you run then, don't you?
No, I don't think so. Because I'm goalkeeper. I'm goalkeeper, you see.
We'll not go too far, because there's a young lady back there that I'm going to have a word with as well, you see.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, do you not know who that is?
Yeah?
Sandra.
Yeah, that's
Why,
right.
no, she's a class athlete, you see. Now, you could be, probably.
Me?
Nice style.
No way.
You enjoying it?
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, camera's over here. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Keep it up. Well, there's no way I'm going to challenge you to a race around the block and tell you that. Where have you been and what's your form like at the moment?
I've just come back from Italy the day before yesterday, competing for Great Britain. Before that, I did the Nationals.
Fantastic. You did well.
Yeah, I was pleased.
Good. What we're doing, Sandra, is a programme called Running. So a great opportunity for me to ask you, what does running mean to you?
A lot. It really does. It's exciting. You've got to be dedicated to it. It's just great fun.
You enjoy it?
Yeah, I don't regret taking it up at all.
Do you like running?
Yes, very much.
What do you like about it?
It's exciting, all that things.
Who's your favourite runner?
6 Minute Dollar Man.
The Bionic Man, and why not? Everybody has his or her own favourite. But for most, he's from Sheffield, he's 23, and on Friday, August the 1st in Moscow, he won what was billed as the race of the century. You must remember it.
Now they're in single file. Straub of East Germany, Seb Coe, Steve Ovett and Busser from East Germany. Busser not looking too comfortable in 4th place, but he could become a danger. The pace still pushing along. Marajo of France moves up into 5th place. Coe still sat back there. Ovett is watching him all the way down the back straight. Ovett beginning to wind up now, ready for a strike.
Yes, he's going to be ready to take Coe as they go into the bend and trap Coe behind Straub. Straub with 200 to go. And he's way off the front, and here goes Ovett starting to move up. Coe is starting his sprint now, and it's between these three, the 3 class men of the field. Coe hits the front, looks around, and he's got Ovett on his shoulder. And now this is the test. He's got 2 metres on him, and Ovett's going to have to sprint all the way here. Coe's away at the front, and it looks as if Coe's going to do it. Coe is going to win the 1,500 metres, and Ovett's going to get only a bronze medal. A fantastic run by Coe. He's done it. He's got the gold. In 2nd place, Straub, and Ovett just left it too late. He ran it right off the front, a last lap there of about 52.3, and he cannot believe it. A fantastic run after the misery of last weekend when he lost in the 800, and now everything is back and golden again.
Seb, what were your emotions at that moment?
Very difficult to describe, really. I suppose it's a combination of relief and satisfaction that 11, 12 years' work has suddenly paid off.
Looking back on it, you've got the value now of hindsight. How important was that race to you?
It was another race. I mean, really, in terms of an athletic career, it was just another race, but certain things obviously are attached to it. And it was very, very satisfying. It has to be the most satisfying race I've ever won.
Whenever you perform, the pressures now are incredible. Fans, the world's press. Does that take away any of the simple enjoyment that you used to have in running?
To a certain extent it does, because it means that if I have a race, I may be racing at 3:30 on a Saturday afternoon. The chances are that I won't be able to get out of a stadium until 6:30, 2 or 3 hours afterwards.
I mean, do you still actually enjoy it? I mean, competing?
Yeah, but I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't race or train if I didn't basically enjoy what I was doing.
Sure, but it must be a lot more than just straightforward enjoyment of the act of running, which you used to have, presumably, as a little lad. I mean, now there's so many other things, aren't there?
Yeah, it's still a habit, though. I mean, you can't... I've been running now since the age of 10 or 11. I'm 23. I've been, running for 12, 13 years. It's easier for me to go out running now than it is to stay in and not train.
See, there'll be lots of youngsters watching, and to them, you're an athletic god. But, I mean, you didn't always win, did you, as a youngster, to give them a bit of comfort? It wasn't always easy.
No. It's all a matter, I think, of selecting targets that are realistic for you and not to be too worried about what other people are doing, irrespective of age groups, because I don't think in athletics it's awfully important until you're 20, 21. I think you should aim and set your own targets.
Yeah. Did you start because you enjoyed the actual movement of running, or because you were good at it, or because you enjoyed being good? I mean, it's a difficult thing to sort of define, but what was the motivating force?
Yeah, I mean, it's
early
a
on?
chicken or an egg situation. I think the main motivating force was I just enjoyed running, just enjoyed the physical feeling of going out and running, and whether or not I ran because I found it easy, or because I got success at my level relatively early, I don't know, but I think the first point of departure is that you actually enjoy running.
Have you ever felt, even now, even with world records and Olympic gold medals, I want to pack the whole thing in, become an ordinary person?
No, because as far as I'm concerned, running is an everyday occurrence for me. It is a part of my lifestyle now. Even if I wasn't competing at any level, I would still go out and keep fit. Obviously not to quite the extent that I'm racing and training at the moment, but it has become a lifestyle.
What do you think of joggers? I mean, very briefly, what do you think of people that have not your talent, but they just jog for fun?
You know, I have tremendous respect for anybody that puts on a tracksuit or a pair of running shoes, irrespective of whatever level they're at, because jogging should become a part of everyone's lifestyle. At least exercise should.
Well, for the moment, Seb, thank you very much indeed. Well, from the sublime to the absolutely ridiculous, in school days I've run competitively once. Mind you, it was a very long race. The Three Peaks Race, 22 miles up and down the mountains of Pennygent, Whernside and Ingleborough. It's 4 years since, but I remember it well. I'd always fancied trying to run the peaks, but it didn't take long for me to realise that with just a couple of months' training, I'd have to do quite a bit of walking too. Well, of the 357 starters, 11 dropped out after Pennygent, 26 packed in after Whernside, and one called it a day on top of the third peak, Ingleborough. I just kept plodding on.
My legs are aching. My head's aching. Aching all over. Can't be far to go now. Can't be far left.
Now, Stan Bradshaw, I vowed I'd never do that again. You've done it, I believe, 100 times. Why?
Well, I've always loved the countryside, especially the hills and mountains, and I've always enjoyed a challenge. And the mountains have always been the biggest challenge in my life.
You tell me that there are 570 mountains in Britain, over 3,000 feet, and you've been up the lot of them.
Yes, I finished them about a month ago. Yes, I did the last one.
But the Three Peaks is the one you're famous for. Tell me, what do you think of when you're actually running?
Well, I think of finishing, naturally. I mean, you want to get to the finish, but when you're going up these mountains, it isn't just a matter of running. You do enjoy the scenery. And I enjoy the physical exercise. I enjoy the challenge of the run.
But you see, most men of your age couldn't walk a mile, let alone jog it, and you run these mountains. I mean, what's your secret? They'd all want to know.
Well, I've been doing it for over 50 years, and it's just a natural way of life to me now. You know?
Has the enjoyment increased or decreased as you've got older?
I think it's increased because there isn't as much pressure on me now. No one expects me to win now. It's just a matter of getting around the course now.
I noticed that on this year's Three Peaks you were having blood samples taken for testing. I mean, what was all that about?
Well, the Salford University were running these tests, and we did go down, quite a few of us went down to Salford University on the treadmill and for other tests. And the film's going to be shown, I believe, in the spring. Yeah.
I thought it was that scientists perhaps didn't believe that you were real.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, you are a phenomenon, aren't you?
I think I'm real enough, but no, I don't know what the results of the test will be. I haven't heard anything yet.
Right, we'll come back to you, Stan, before too long. Well, what follows does not make pleasant viewing, but it does serve to illustrate, horribly, graphically, just how far a dedicated runner can push his body. It's beyond the limit, it's raw Kerridge. It's Britain's Jim Peters in the 1954 Commonwealth Games.
Back to the marathon, and the crowd is shocked into silence as Jim Peters enters the stadium. Almost unconscious with the heat and with his effort, he stumbles towards the finish, groping blindly, a broken, bewildered figure. If anyone should help him, he would have to be disqualified instantly, just as was Pietri Dorando 46 years ago. A tragic, terrible sight, and yet in its own way, an inspiring one. Peters, one of the greatest marathon runners of all time, still trying to win when he has given all that a man can give. And it is a cruel twist of fate that he falls not on the line he thinks is the finish, but many yards from it.
Now, Lesley, I'm bound to ask, what can an attractive girl like you want to do a race like that for, that can do that to a strong man?
Well, not having any natural speed, I think that's the best event for me. I find that easier than running, say, 1,500 metres.
But are you not frightened that that sort of damage can be done to you?
No, I think we know a lot more about running and what it does to your body now, and we know that you lose a lot of fluid and you should replace the fluid and drink plenty of water.
So science has come in to help athletes?
Yes, yes, very much.
Last August, I believe it was, or September, you ran 3 marathons in 3 weeks, then a double marathon, the London to Brighton. Now, isn't that going to do you a lot of damage physically and mentally? You ought to know you're a physiotherapist, aren't you?
Oh, yes, I think it's very good for me. It's very good for my muscles. It's good for your heart. Makes you feel better. I'm never ill. I also take multivitamins, which probably helps as well. And it helps me do my job, too.
When you're galloping along in one of those marathons of yours, what do you think about? Anything in particular?
Well, I think about trying to do a good time initially, but if I happen to be on to a bad time, then I try and think about losing a few pounds to inspire myself, to keep myself going. I chat to various people in the race.
Well, the competitors?
Yes, people that I've known from before. Usually, sometimes I meet new people.
What do the fellas think when you come past them, as you often do in a marathon race?
Well, a lot of them, we have a bit of a competition, because some of the guys further back, they're maybe not trying to win the men's race, but they may be trying to beat all the women in the race. And so we have a bit of a competition between the women and the slower men.
What's your worst experience ever in a marathon?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I've had one. Probably my first marathon, because I had eaten too much before I ran it, and I was very, very unfit. And so I started off too fast and struggled the whole way.
And the aim? What's your ambition?
To try and get better all the time, to try and get better time.
Okay, for the moment, thank you very much indeed, Lesley. Well, it seems to me that whenever women get involved in anything, the image improves. Running is no exception. International athletes to jogging executives have to be catered for, and they all want to look good. It's now big business, and it's very colourful too. In the olden days, a pair of pumps and a pair of shorts was enough. Now it's not, is it?
Not any longer. We've seen tremendous developments in the sports market. As you say, a pair of ordinary pumps was the thing. You'd come into a sports shop 10 years ago, you'd be offered a very limited choice, a pair of pumps and a few other training shoes. We've now moved into an area where running shoes are developed along these lines, where you have the specialist shoe. You have a shoe which is set for each individual sport. You can come into a sports shop and you'll see 10, 15, 20 models of shoes available just for the specialist athlete. No longer is it any good just to have a pair of pumps.
Very fashionable too. I mean, why all the bright colours?
People demand it. It's just a thing of life now that we've seen an extension, not just in the terms of people wearing this type of footwear or the clothing that you see here. People wear this as a casual garment now. It is fashionable to be seen wearing a pair of training shoes in the street. Kids go to school in them.
I've seen girls in these shiny shorts in discotheques. I mean, almost fashion clothes now.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, I've not seen any down in the discos, but I think I'll start going. But certainly, everything that you see here now at one time would be just worn for sport, but now it is a fashion garment. Shorts, vests, T-shirts, tracksuits, the lot.
Do you see this boom continuing?
Definitely. I think as more and more people have increased amounts of leisure time, either forced upon them or because they just find that working hours are shorter, the advent of more and more leisure centres, then yes, this particular market area is one that is growing continually and will continue to do so.
Selling the sports gear is part of your life now, it's your business.
Yes.
But what does running mean to you?
Well, it's something that I've done ever since I was at school. It's something that I enjoy. It's a very simple sport in terms of you don't need any special facilities. You can just get out of your house, you get a pair of running shoes, a tracksuit, shorts and vest, and you can go out and run. It's simple.
Well, Stan, I'd like to turn to you if I may and ask you, are you conscious of how you look when you're running at all?
Not really, no.
Doesn't matter to you?
I like to run smoothly, you know. I mean, you've got your image to portray, haven't you, to the public?
Absolutely. Seb, what about you? I mean, the world's watching you. Are you conscious of how you look?
In terms of kit and things? No, not at all. I mean, I wore a running vest this shirt I've worn regularly for the last 2 or 3 years.
So it's comfort?
It's just comfort, yeah. It has to be comfort and what you're used to.
All right, Lesley, I'm going to turn to a lady, because ladies, you know, sometimes like to look pretty. Are you conscious of how you feel?
Yes, I like to wear the kit that I like best, and I feel more prepared somehow mentally.
But is it for freedom or is it for looks?
Well, I try to get something that I think looks the best one that's comfortable as well. To get both together if I can.
All right, Douglas Croft, I'd like to bring you into the conversation at this stage, representing the people that organise the sport. You're involved in running, the organising side of it. How complex now is running, if you see what I mean?
It's becoming very complex indeed. As time goes on, it gets even more involved. Running has always had its organisational side. People start running, they tend to want a bit of companionship, a bit of coaching, they join clubs. By joining clubs, they get access to competition, not necessarily against other runners, very often just against the clock or against themselves even. And to be able to cope, to control that competition, is the main burden on the administration side of the sport.
What do you personally get out of it?
Great deal of satisfaction. You've seen some bits of film of the Three Peaks, which is one of the races that I organise, and you can see there's a heck of a lot of people involved there. When that day is finished, to wander into the village pub and sit down and think about it is immensely satisfying. You've achieved something, even though you haven't been putting one foot in front of the other.
So it's satisfaction.
Indeed.
Lesley, if I can turn to you and ask you, please, if I may. Marathon running for women, it's going to be an Olympic sport, this I mean, is it going to get better and better? Women are getting faster and faster. You're almost as fast as the best men now. Are you going to continue to improve?
I think they'll improve quite a bit, because I think the average is about 10% behind the men. I think women are about 10% slower. And in marathon, I think they're slightly more than that slower at the moment, so they probably will improve till they're about 10% slower.
Can people like you ever hope to compete with the Russians, the East Germans, these men-looking women?
Well, I personally can't because I haven't the natural ability, but I think somebody like Joyce Smith most certainly can and probably could beat them all.
The longer you run, the better you seem to get, distance-wise.
Yes.
What's your ultimate long-distance ambition?
Well, I'd like to try and break the world record for the 50 miles, and maybe the 100 kilometres, and perhaps do a 100-mile race sometime.
Have a success with that one. So if I can turn to you, what about that? Does it frighten you? I mean, you're a half mile and miler.
Yes, I mean, 100 miles would be at least 99 miles too far for me.
There's talk of you moving up a little bit, maybe. Is that on the cards?
I'm going to concentrate on 5,000 metre training and racing, probably within about the next 2 years.
What do you think about this fella? Stan Bradshaw.
Staggering. Tremendous.
You have admiration for a person like Stan?
I have, because I know my dislike of distance work. So to be running those kind of distances is tremendous. At any age.
Sure. Would it be an ambition of yours, for instance, to be able to run like Stan does when you're his age?
It has to be, doesn't it? I mean, I'd like to think I'd be as fit as that when I'm 50.
Stan, what do you think of this fella?
Oh, he's been my idol.
Really?
Yes, a few years now. Plus, I've known him before the public really knew him, you know. And
well, you were aware, were you, of this man's talent?
Oh, yes, I've always followed his career, yes, in the Athletics Weekly, which I get.
Have you, I mean, it's a bit presumptuous possibly, but I mean, you've been in the sport for 50-odd years. I mean, have you any advice? I mean, he's still only 23.
Enjoy it. That's what I've done in the 50 years of my running, yes.
You've obviously seen massive changes. I mean, could you sum it up briefly, the changes you've seen in 50 years?
Well, in the fell running world, before 1952, I think it was, I was 40 years old then, there were only 2 fell races in the north of England. That was the classic Burnsall fell race and the Rivington Pike race in Lancashire. And now we have fell runs every weekend through the year, sometimes 2 or 3 fell runs on the same weekend.
So that's grown, hasn't it? Seb, very, very briefly, what's the next stage? Open athletics, professionalism?
Professional athletics isn't a realistic proposition. If there's going to be any changes, I think it'll have to be open, where we have amateurs and professionals competing together. But if it's my attitude's always been, if somebody's good enough, then I don't see there's any reason why they shouldn't be able to make a living from it.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, sadly, we've run out of time. My thanks, of course, to Lesley, Stan, Seb and Douglas. Whether you run for fun because you're late for work or because you want to prove that you are the very best in the world, do enjoy your running.